Welcome to Networks Professionals.
All right, let's jump right into this explainer on the Layer 2 port security and how to defend your network's front door. We spend so much time obsessing over firewalls, encryption, and those external threats, right? But we totally overlook a massive blind spot. We really have to ask ourselves, what happens when the threat isn't coming from the open internet, but literally from inside the building? Imagine you're the network admin. You've got the best firewalls money can buy, all your software is patched up, and the perimeter is locked down tight. But ask yourself this. What actually happens if someone just strolls into an empty conference room or an unoccupied cubicle and plugs a rogue device directly into a wall port? Well, that is the terrifying vulnerability of physical access. When a physical port is just left unsecured, rogue devices and MAC flooding attacks can instantly compromise a network switch. Someone can literally walk in, completely bypass your entire digital perimeter, and wreak havoc on your infrastructure, just because they found an open jack on the wall. Crazy, right? So how do we tackle this? That brings us to Section 1, Stopping Rogue Devices, your first line of defense. Enter Port Security. It's a Layer 2 switch feature that restricts physical access to your network by limiting and filtering the specific MAC addresses allowed on a single port. Think of the switch as an exclusive club's bouncer. It's standing right there, checking the VIP list, which in our case are the MAC addresses, at the door, making absolutely sure no uninvited guests sneak in. Moving right along to Section 2, How Port Security Works, focusing on the three-step mechanics. The underlying networking logic here operates in a surprisingly simple, elegant three-step progression. First, you set exactly how many devices are allowed. Second, you define who those devices actually are. And third, you decide what triggers a defensive response if an unknown device tries to connect. Starting with Step 1, when you set that MAC limit, you're defining the absolute maximum number of devices allowed on a given switch port. In highly secure environments, it's often not 2, not 3, but exactly 1 VIP allowed. Just a single specific machine permitted to use that physical connection. Next up is Step 2, Address Definition. Basically, how do you build that VIP list? Well, you've got a choice. You can either manually type in the statically assigned MAC addresses, which, let's be honest, gives you amazing granular control but takes forever, or you can let the switch do the heavy lifting and dynamically learn who is plugged in automatically. And this is where Sticky MAC is a total game changer. It acts as a super smart bouncer that instantly memorizes the faces of the very first legitimate devices it sees and then hard codes them directly into the switch's running configuration. It is a fantastic, super efficient way to lock down your ports without typing out hundreds of alphanumeric addresses by hand. Which brings us to Section 3, Predefined Actions and Defensive Responses. So, what actually happens when the rule breakers show up? You really need to understand these 3 predefined violation actions. They range from a silent rejection to a full-blown lockdown. You've got shutdown, restrict, and protect. Let's look at how each one fundamentally alters the state of the port. Shutdown is basically your nuclear option. It's the most severe and authoritative response available. If an unauthorized MAC address is detected, the switch takes 0 chances. It completely drops the port into what's known as an error-disabled state. It forcibly shuts it down, and honestly, it stays dead until you, the admin, manually go in and bring it back up. Then we have restrict. This is kind of your middle ground. It actively drops packets from unauthorized sources while keeping the port itself active for any traffic that's actually allowed. But most importantly, it makes you know about the breach by sending a log alert and incrementing a violation counter. It's letting you know someone is out there rattling the doorknob. Finally, there's protect. This is the absolute least severe option on the board. It acts like a completely silent bouncer that just drops the unauthorized packets. But here's the catch. It doesn't bother to log the event, and it definitely doesn't send you any alerts. It just quietly blocks those unknown MAC addresses in the background. Now that you've got the theory down, let's look at next steps, device configuration. To actually put this into practice on your own networking hardware, you should absolutely check out the Cisco Port Security tutorial or the networklessons.com configuration guide. They break it all down step by step and provide the exact syntax and command line prompts you're going to need to properly secure your Layer 2 environment. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to visualize the physical infrastructure of your own workspace. Look at the wall ports around you right now and ask yourself, are they actively defending your network or are they literally just waiting for a rogue device to plug in? take control of your Layer 2 security and lock down the front door.
Thanks for watching.